Hey, family. Just another day trying to keep pushing forward, trying not to let my thoughts or my emotions get the best of me. It's not working very well. Um, so today is Friday. On Tuesday, I got the call about what was going on with my brother. They're trying to send him to prison over a diluted urine sample, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up going down there on Wednesday, going to the court hearing where they were supposed to take him into custody, and sat in that court hearing for a little over an hour. He was the last one that they called. Had a couple of bailiffs there ready to take him in, and his public defender got a little extension till this coming Friday, the 24th, for him to get his financial stuff in order and situate my mom. Um, but anyway, I haven't been back to work. I've called in, haven't been able to sleep. Every time I start to fall asleep, it's like thinking of what's going on with him and me having to go down there and pack all my mom's stuff up and bring her up here to live with me. It shoots me out of a sleep, and it's like I'm having panic attacks, fear. I don't know if PTSD, there's some unresolved fucking trauma that's going on here that is being stirred up or what, but um yeah, so it's not easy. It's kind of paralyzing. I went outside here to smoke a cigarette. It's warm out, sun shining, and all they've made me want to do is come in and draw the blinds and curl up and turn on some TV or something to get me distracted from what's going on. And sent my boss a text letting him know what was going on. Not all the details, but just what I'm going through, and that I'm not going to be there, and haven't been sleeping. And one of the responses he asked me was, "Am I talking to somebody?" And my belief about the whole thing is all the adversity and all the struggle that I've been through in my life that I've had to deal with and overcome. In my mind, I believe, it's like I don't need to talk to anybody. This is something that only I can work through, figure out. But one of my first instinct responses was to say, "Yeah, man, I'm talking to YouTube. I'm making videos. I'm talking to myself." Um, so I go on here and I give out information and insight on staying disciplined, being positive, overcoming your thinking. Don't let nothing stop you. And here I am, letting my dishes go. I haven't taken the trash out. I haven't vacuumed. Just kind of everything's at a standstill, it seems. And I know it's all in the brain. I know it's all just in my head. But the emotional indicators are telling me that there's something more to it than just being in my head. Um, Throughout my recovery of getting sober and trying to get my life back together, it's just been me focusing on me and trying not to take on anybody else's responsibilities, anybody else's problems. But so for some reason, I'm like, fuck, man, I have to have my mom come here and live with me, and then I gotta, make sure that she's my mom. It's like scared that it's like, man, I got to keep her under control. If not, or not keep her under control, but make sure she doesn't jeopardize my living situation. And I still have to get a hold of my significant other and let her know what's going on. Um, I sent a long email to the judge, just giving my perspective on what I've witnessed, the changes that I've seen in my brother, and that um, basically letting her know, the little things that he's accumulated, his two jobs, and being able to pay for a monthly hotel and have a car payment and just being able to survive might not seem like a lot for most people to lose, but that for him, I mean, it's everything. It's his entire life. You know, let her know that we bounce back and forth between home and foster homes our entire childhood, and ultimately becoming wards of the state, and basically that he came back into our lives when he was around 18 or so, and one of the first things he did was help my mom leave my dad, a decades long abusive, controlling relationship, and pretty much has been her caretaker since. And it sounds funny that he came in and became her caretaker, but it seems to me that like when she got together with my dad, she was just a kid still, and my dad had his issues, and she didn't know how to live for herself, period, because all she ever did was live for my dad. And but he came in, and so one of the things that I had to do, I had to block everybody out, focus on myself in order to recover. And he doesn't have that option. He has to try and recover with also worrying about and taking on making sure she's okay. And it's a codependent relationship. It has to be very hard for him to have changed as much as he did and stay in that environment. um it's like yeah. But yeah, so I'm all messed up emotionally and paralyzed, and you know uh one of my coworkers actually sent me a friend request on Facebook yesterday out of the blue. And I guess if anybody at that job might understand what I'm going through, it would probably be him. Um, he does therapy and he's on medications, and I guess he battles with some depression maybe, and maybe some ADD and some stuff like that. But I haven't accepted the request yet. I'm probably going to. But yeah, so that's how it went. I did go down. I attended the court, and I actually teared up a little bit when they did give him the 10-day extension. And I guess I was sitting there prepared to give a speech to the judge before she did anything. And she's been a judge down there for since 1985. I mean, she's like the chief judge in that district. But I sent her an email. Anyway, I went down there. I drove back. I didn't get home till 10 o'clock or so. I think 9 o'clock. Can't remember, but couldn't sleep, and didn't go to work. But I wanted to fill you guys in on that, and I also want to get to the continuation of my story here, where I moved down south with my sister after I don't know, after only maybe a year or two of leaving my childhood environment after getting out of juvenile corrections and going back to my mom and dad's, talking about I'm gonna have all my shit together and blah blah blah, and ended up, ended up living with my mom and dad, working, building prefab homes, machine operator, some other jobs. But after going to jail, and that was when the cops hit me in the mouth with the flashlight, and my sister coming up pregnant with her first child, and I decided to go down there with her, and I was working construction with her husband down there, and also worked on the coast, loading barges that were shipping frozen food products to other countries or something. I don't know, but I also got my first drunk driving down there, and I did end up in a work camp in jail down there for a little bit. Put a plumbing system in a gun range down there while I was locked. It was for the as a gun range for the sheriff's department down there, I guess. But I got my first drunk driving. So once again, I'm in getting in trouble with the law as an adult, and um, met some friends, some people, and we uh, we were going out into old cow pastures picking shrooms, hallucinogenic shrooms, man, and I thought that was cool, man. The way shrooms made me feel, and it was something new. And on one of our escapades of going over there, it's right down at the dead end of a street that has a bar on it, and we ended up going into that bar, or or something. But anyway, that's where I was sitting in that bar. I wasn't even 21 years old. We were playing pool, me and my buddy, and ordering pitchers of beer. And I went up there to get the pitcher of beer from the bartender, and yeah, the lady that was sitting out on the Patreon side of the bar, she got up and went back behind her, and I'm like, you work here? Long story short, I ended up leaving the bar with her that night, and we went to a little, like a dance club. We were all into what was that, Shaggy, Boombastic, and she was a roadie, a band roadie over in Switzerland, and she had this wild hair and this just wild, and I was attracted to her. She was obviously attracted to me, and it wasn't long after that we started. I started living with her. Left my sister's place and was living with her, and then uh, sometime after that, me and her ended up staying with my sister for a little bit before we moved to Michigan, which was where friends of her lived. From they knew them when they lived down Florida somewhere. When she came from Switzerland, that was where she was living, was Florida. I'm not sure exactly how she ended up in South Carolina. I think she met a guy and was that's how she ended up in South Carolina. But anyway, we met each other down there, and yeah. So I keep saying down south. So I just said South Carolina. So yeah, that's where I met her, and so she was a bartender and a waitress. So she bartended at this bar, and she was a bartender waitress at a Italian, I think it was Italian restaurant. Um, but yeah, so me and my drinking and everything, and I had a sidekick in my life now. And like I said, she was 13 years older than I was. People tell me that I was looking for a mother figure, being that I basically lost my mom, or they said subconsciously I was looking for a mother figure in the woman I was dating, and I don't know, it kind of makes sense, I guess. Um, but we were in Michigan for a little while, staying with this friend of hers. They were called Twisted Swisters because they were both Swiss, and yeah, ended up we were only there for a little while before we made our way back to Wisconsin, where I was born. You know, wasn't really raised in Wisconsin. A little bit as a kid, but most of my life was in Illinois. Um, and yeah, her and I ended up living with my mom and my dad for a little while, and we were partiers, man. Both of us were just partiers. So that was like an 8, 9 year relationship of basically just partying, man. We both worked. Me and her both worked at 2 different jobs together. One was a restaurant at the mall, you know. Other one was a manufacturing facility, building tables and bookshelves and for schools and libraries. And a couple of times we went from there and we traveled out to Michigan to assemble our products out in Michigan and visited her Twisted Swister, and her husband. And but eventually, um, not long after, so yeah, I ended up getting some other charges, um, partying, drinking, doing crack, and ended up going into a place that we had worked, and it was after the mall was closed, but I still had keys to get in because of my position, team leader. And yeah, I got into the money, and I took some money from there. And being that the mall was closed, the owner didn't want to press any charges. Came to court and didn't want to press any charges on me. Um, I got burglary charges, so that was my. Other than that drunk driving and that disorderly conduct, now here I am getting some major charges, you know, felonies. Got some probation. Some time went by. Oh, well, now I gotta find that wherever it went. So I already showed you guys the 1996. So after that burglary, well, now I'm getting into my second treatment program, and that was this is a certificate of recognition is awarded this. Well, Jason is awarded this certificate for completing the alcohol and other drug abuse group presented by the Attic Correctional Services Incorporated this 11th day of November of 1999. But yeah, so I got that in 1999. So now I'm being actually put that back in there. Yeah, probably couldn't hear me a couple of that, but yeah, I got that. So once again, I'm being provided some information that shows me the way that I am living is not the way that I have to live, and just because I learned that and have been doing that my whole life, I don't have to keep doing it. But I ended up going back into the same place some time after that. I was out partying, you know. Ended up going in there again. I ended up getting revoked. My probation got revoked, and I ended up getting a 5-year prison sentence. And you know, she stuck with me the whole. I think I did 2.5, 3 years. Can't remember. I think it was between 2.5 and 3 years. I ended up doing in prison, in adult prison here. And she stuck with me. Came and visited. Phone calls, writing me letters. She stuck it out with me that whole time. She had gotten a back injury at work while I was and gotten a settlement. And long story short with that, her and I ended up living in two different apartments together. after moving out of my mom and my dad's place. And with my habits and stuff, I don't remember being any part of paying the rent at either of those places. I think I was the irresponsible one, and she handled all the responsibilities. Hence the looking for a mother figure in a partner. Um, we were both using drugs and alcohol though, so it was a codependent relationship, and obviously we had our ups and downs because it's just not healthy when you're that's all we did is worked and partied, and it got out of hand. But long story short, um, well, like I said, she got that injury, and some stuff came up with her INS, her immigration status, and this and that. She was still married to, ironically, a cocaine kingpin out of the Virgin Islands. They got married when she first came from Switzerland, and I'm not sure about it, but she was still married to him the whole time that we were together. But something happened, and she had to end up getting on a plane and heading back to Switzerland, and that was in 2000 2004, 2005. I can't really quite remember. But while I was in prison for those burglaries, and she stuck by me and came to all the visits and everything, I attended my third. At least from what I can see from my certificates that I've held on all these years, I don't see anything in between there, but I might have done a few little groups through probation or something. But this was the certificate of achievement to commend your efforts. This certificate is hereby awarded uh, for completing the New Vision program, December 7th of 2002. And, this was for the New Visions program anyway. And that's where I learned that I was going to change how through honesty, openness, and willingness. HOW, honesty, openness, and willingness. And that I accept full responsibility for a change in my life. It was I accept responsibility for a change in my life. I will change how through honesty, openness, and willingness. Uh, it is about a new way of living, and I hold the key. And that was an inpatient, 4 month long. I was supposed to get paroled upon completion of that. That didn't happen. I was still at that facility for a few months after completing the program, and it still got sent to a minimum security prison where I worked at a building utility trailer. I had a job working out in the community in my minimum security, building boat trailers, utility trailers. And after getting paroled, went back to got my job back, automotive technician. That was the third job actually that me and her worked at because she was working in the office at that place by the time I got out. And long story short, man, she went back to Switzerland a couple months after that. I met the woman that I was in a relationship for 20 years, which we still get together on the weekends here and there. Still friends. She's on the lease here. It's all confusing. It's all got me freaking not knowing what's going on. But yeah, so that's what's going on with me right now. And got my mind off of what's going on with me talking about this, and coffee probably don't really help with all the caffeine, but like I said, it's the one vice that I have that don't get me in trouble. Never did. So yeah, that was the first long term relationship, and yeah, when she left, yeah, things got out of control with me. Um, my living situation that deteriorated, my job situation deteriorated. My one of my friends, I considered my friend, he was actually my drug dealer, but I did a lot of work on his vehicles, and I was there for him to have his first baby, and we did stuff together, man. And he got shot in the head and got murdered by this girl. But anyway, I finished one more part of the story. I've updated you guys on what's going on with me and with the situation with my brother and my mom. Life throws curveballs at us, man, and I know this. I know this just as much as anybody else. I've overcome so much adversity. I perceive myself as a very strong person that nothing can stop and I can overcome anything, and I know I can. But for some reason, this kind of threw me for a loop. Them trying to throw my brother in jail. I mean, I guess part of it's like, man, no, I enjoy the situation that I've got going on here. It's not much responsibility other than me getting up and going to work and paying my bills and having my little goals for myself. I can be in my own little world, you know. But it might boil down to, we're gonna see. Friday the 24th, and which is in 1 week from now, and 9:30 in the morning is when they're supposed to set. You know, they did mention jail in the last court date. They did not mention prison. She did not mention revocation. I do not believe. It's, but there'll be more videos to come, guys. Just wanted to fill you guys in on that first long term relationship of mine. Obviously, there's much more in it, but that's the basics of it. Is it was a codependent relationship. She left unexpectedly, and that was the ending of my first long year term relationship. But I had been so used to throughout childhood and up until that point of being in and out of foster homes, in and out of youth homes, juvenile penitentiary, going different schools, and never really making a bond with people. And in my mind, relationships, all relationships end. There's nothing that lasts a long time. So I think that, and plus I was numbing with alcohol and drugs, and so I didn't experience the full loss that most people probably would if I hadn't grown up the way I did. But ultimately, I'm in control of what goes on in my life from here forward, right? I can accept reality for what it is, do what has to be done. Um, it's the uncertainty that just kills me. It's like, okay, how long, if he does go in, how long is it going to be for? And I don't want him to lose the vehicle that he's paying on. Um, so, in order for him not to have to start over, I may be bringing his vehicle and parking it here somewhere and paying $100 a week on that for 6 months. And at least that's what he says. 6, 7 months is what he would get on a 3-year sentence. But so the uncertainty, everything is just killing me, But I guess I just need to accept this as part of the journey, part of the growing process, and maybe it has something to do with preparing me for more of the content that I'm supposed to share. But life is not easy, especially if you're growing up poor and growing up with addictions and instability, and some most anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back at you with some more videos. Until then, you guys keep pushing forward, family. Don't give up. There's always some light on the other end of the tunnel. Peace, guys. Until next time.